Hey, in this video is what I wanted to talk to y'all about is going to be, the thing that I see all the time is people are, who are in real estate, whether that's like house flippers, house wholesalers, land flippers, it's like there's a lot of people that have got a job during the day and then they come home and then they're going to start working in the evening, or they do have a business that's large enough to where they're just doing the one real estate business, but then they're working on all of these really lower paying tasks per hour. And so I wanted to kind of like talk about this, and like my thoughts are, if you come home, let's say that you've worked 8 hours doing the main things in your company, or you've done your job or whatever. Think about if you worked an additional 4 hours or 5 or 6 hours even. Think about this. If you were to have someone that you're paying anywhere from $2, $3, $5, or even up to $10 an hour. And keep in mind, for a $10 an hour virtual assistant, that is an incredibly skilled virtual assistant. And that is oftentimes a senior position as well. So, let's think about this. If you work for that 4 hours, and let's say you've got a $3 an hour virtual assistant, that's only $12 that you're saving. And I don't know about you, but I would way rather have someone working either part-time or full-time, and then they can handle all that extra busy work that you could easily teach someone to do. It helps them out because a lot of Americans also don't necessarily know just how far $2, $3, or $5 an hour will go in countries like the Philippines or like Pakistan or India. It is actually a lot of money over there. In fact, if you actually look at what jobs pay in the Philippines, for example, I have hired in India before, I've hired in the Philippines. I do like the Philippines just simply because Filipinos speak really great English and I can understand it extremely well, just like virtually anybody in the US would be able to understand a Filipino. They do have an accent, but it is not that strong. But if we go back to just the topic of, like what the pay is like over there. If someone is coming out of college with a 4-year degree, typically over there, they are making less than $2 US an hour when they're just starting out. And that is, if you take the conversions, there's like 57 Filipino pesos per US dollar, and you actually look at it at the pay per month over there. There's a lot of jobs that actually start out well under 20,000 pesos a month. And when you kind of figure that out, it's like, wow, you get a person that is a fraction of the cost of hiring someone from the US, but yet that person is incredibly skilled. They have a college degree. In fact, you can find people over there with even a master's degree who are currently working for, let's say, $5 and sometimes less than that per hour. And that is because they don't have the opportunities that we have here in the US with the conversion of the currencies being so different. Because things don't cost as much in the Philippines as they do here, for example. Everything costs more in the US. So when you're able to go and find that type of geographical arbitrage, that is like an amazing thing. So when we pay our team, they're actually getting paid more than they can make there. Sometimes by as much as 2 or 3 times more money when we pay them as what they were making over there with being a Filipino, working in the Philippines for a Filipino company. Okay, so there is that. Now, just think about if you could have the extra 4 or 5 or 6 hours that you didn't have to work, that somebody could do that for you. Just think about that. Now you could have an evening with your family, or you could go out and work on something that pays more within your company. So we have 2 different types of clients at least. Obviously, you can have like even more than that sometimes, but a lot of ours are looking to either work on growing the company that they have, or they're just looking to get back time so that they can actually have a weekend, and so that way they can have the evenings to themselves. I talk to a lot of people, they work an 8 or a 10-hour shift, and then they go to work for their little real estate business, And that is the huge complaint, is that they're always working. And so I want you to stop thinking about, hey, I can go and work an extra 4 or 5 hours tonight. Because yes, like I did that. Everyone does that when they're trying to build up their funds. But what I see is a lot of people actually go way past that. So a huge regret that a lot of people have when it comes to hiring virtual assistants is that they didn't find out about it sooner, and they didn't already start doing it sooner, because they realize, wow, I can actually work on the tasks that pay more if I get the busy work off my plate. So it could be anything from like emails, could be stuff like cold outreach, like there's a ton of cold calling with virtual assistants. There's things like preparing all of the data for mailing, data scrubbing. I use our team a lot for doing state research, county research, and they can do things like do research on what is the pricing like for this type of land in this county and state. They can also determine what all counties we should be going to. Sometimes we might mail out to 10 or 20 counties or even more in a month, and they're the ones that take care of all that data buying, the compiling of the data, and then all they do is they have meetings with me, and then they can show me all of the work that they did. I can check it, and then I can recommend revisions to it. But even with a small team, you got to realize that you, as the business owner, you can make all of the big decisions, and then also tell them what you need to get done. And then you can let your single VA, or if you need 2 or 3 of them, it's not going to cost you that terribly much, provided that you're already making money. And in fact, with our clients, if you're not already making money, and if you don't have a business, then it's like we wouldn't be a good fit, because that's a requirement for us, is that you already have to be in business, making money, and your problem is that you don't have enough time to get everything done, or you're just wanting to have more family time, or you're wanting to try to grow the business by working on other more important things. And it's like, I do want our team to always understand, it's like, yes, everything is extremely important, but there are some things that my team actually can't do. Like it could be things like networking. So it could be finding more deals with peers. It could be like finding private lenders, things like that are incredibly important that my team simply can't go and do. The only way that you would be able to find someone like that, they would need to be in the US and stuff, because sure, a virtual assistant could clearly go out and create lists to find people who are private lenders, but at the end of the day, because of all the different regulations around private lending, you, the business owner, actually need to be the one on the phone, so that way there's nothing accidentally, said that can't legally be said. I'm sure you could use your imagination. Things like guarantees and saying that the investments are safe, stuff like that. But I would recommend you use virtual assistants to do anything at all that is easy to learn and that is tedious and repetitive. Those are the easiest things to outsource. So for me personally, that's things like data analysis. And honestly, the reason that I love our data analytics team, we actually have a senior analyst, and then we have another analyst who is also a data manager, and then we have a junior data analyst. She started out in data entry, and then we've kind of moved her up. She does a lot of different like state research, county research for us. Those are amazing people to have, because they have expertise that I have no chance in taking the time, because I'm not willing to, and also just because I can't imagine what that would take. They have 4-year degrees, and they have many years of like actual corporate work behind them. So you can hire people like that. And oftentimes these virtual assistants, like I've been saying, they're usually anywhere from $2 to $10 an hour. And when you're talking about data entry, they do fall closer to being, let's say, $2 or $3 an hour. And to make it really simple is what I like to do is, on determining their pay, is I like to find out, I ask everybody this, how much were you making? And I always want to be higher than that. And sometimes when they're fresh out of college and they haven't actually gotten work experience in the field that they got a degree for, I'll ask them just point blank, like, hey, how much were those jobs that you were applying for, how much were those paying? And they'll tell me. And then I want to pay above that, because I don't want to try to get them for less, because then they might always be looking for the door. Like, well, this other opportunity came up and then I lose that person. And this is all provided that they're really great and it's a good fit between us both. So those are things that I like to think about, keep in mind, and just literally just sit back and just think about, what would your life be like if you had someone to where now you could take the evenings off or go and just learn different things about real estate? Because it's kind of like us. We're doing multiple types of deals, and it's like it gives me the chance to just focus on just trying to figure out, hey, what are the best types of deals? And then I figure out different markets where we're going. And then I can have the team go and get that data for me. And then now I'm really just doing reviews and meetings. And even though I've got my team and let's say they're working 700 or 800 hours, some months, when we've had a larger team, that was well over 1,000 something hours a month. But then it gets to where, I've got a lot of time freedom. It gives me things like I can take my wife out to lunch. And in fact, my wife and I do real estate full time. We neither one have jobs. So now I can actually take her out to lunch and it's no big deal. I don't have to worry about her having a job and then I've got to go out and, it's like, can I even take my wife out? I hated that so much. I have been an employee. I've had one job before in my life. Other than that, it's been, in businesses and stuff, my own personal businesses. But I love that I have that kind of freedom to do that. And if I did not have virtual assistants, I would have zero chance of that. Because actually when I was at my job and then I started to do real estate, it was literally like just banging it out on a laptop. And I did go ahead and start implementing virtual assistants, but not in the way that I should have. I actually started out by only having them just do property research. And I used a service provider and just had them to do it. But I did not understand just how much virtual assistants could do. I had it in my head, well, they can go and do this or this other task here. But I did not realize that, these people, they have associate's degrees, bachelor's, master's. There's tons of people with PhDs on there. I would have no use at the moment for someone with a PhD. Personally, a bachelor's is good for everything that I would possibly need. And I have interviewed people with a master's degree before, but again, for me, that wasn't necessary. In fact, for me, it's not really about the degree. It's really about, did they have prior experience to this, or is their personality one in which that I can just train them up and then they can transition to what we're needing to get done. So, basically just think about that and see, yeah, I totally can identify this 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 things. Now, I will tell you, if you did need to get a whole lot of different things done, you might need to hire a couple of different people. But keep in mind, if you did have something that is more technical, you could always hire someone part-time. And full transparency here, I don't have some kind of recruiting agency. I help our clients to where they're going to go and find the virtual assistant and they're going to pay them directly. I am not a middleman. In fact, I don't like those setups because from what I've seen on the people that do that, it's shockingly expensive. In fact, it's anywhere from, I've seen contracts to where you go to the service and then you pay the service company and then they go out and actually hire the virtual assistant and then pay them only a part of what the actual fee that you paid the service provider was. And sometimes that can be as much as $5,000 per 6 months. So imagine if you needed 3. Well, just in your first 6 months, that's already $15,000 just in additional fees so that the service provider could make the money on the fees and then pay the virtual assistant. So I like to actually go straight to the virtual assistants and then find them, recruit them with like our systems and processes that we have. And that's like part of what I teach is SOPs for that are customized to your business. Like I show how to do all that. Well, it actually works out way better for you because you will get a discount, and then now they get more money as well, because now it's like you're giving them the entire amount of money and there is no middleman to try to take that. And just for me, and because of my virtual assistants, like I would rather give all that money to the virtual assistant than to a service provider. It just makes way more sense to me. And they're awesome. It's like I really want to take care of them and show them that I appreciate them by being able to pay them really well. So maybe identify a couple of tasks. Think about like which ones could I get hired and trained out. Remember, you can always do part-time or full-time with these people. You could even hire, if you did not need someone for 40 hours a week, you could always hire 2 part-timers if you needed maybe this person to have a couple of skills and this other person to have a couple of skills. You could do that as well, because with real estate, there are so many different things that these virtual assistants can do. So in fact, I use the term virtual assistant and VA constantly, but when I'm like off camera and I'm just running around my business, it's like these are just everyday people that happen to live in another country to where the pay makes it to where it's a fraction of what you would pay for the same person here in the US. But they really are just everyday human beings. They're the exact same. They just happen to live in the Philippines or in India, whatever country you want to go to. You could totally go to India and the pay is very similar. It's just about the exact same. And there are a tremendous amount of people in India. I think the population is 1.4 billion. And just like the Philippines, they have an economy that is actually built on having all of the call centers and all that stuff already. So they already have, in all the cities, they're going to have electricity and internet. And so that means all the people need in order to work for you is literally a laptop. And just about everyone is going to have a laptop nowadays. So just try to think about that. And maybe you could hire 2 people, but it's 40 hours a week, or it's 1 at 40 hours a week if it's going to be the same repetitive thing, and you could give them enough hours, because think about it like this. With there being 40 hours a week, and there's actually like 13 4-week months out of the year. So I think it's like 4.33 weeks per month. That's like 173 hours per month. So, and then let's say that is $2 or $3 an hour. Well, I mean, this is only like 300 and something, say $500 per month. But imagine what someone could get done in that 173 hours a month. It is staggering the amount of work that they can do. And keep in mind, I'm not micromanaging them. So I'm not trying to drive their productivity to levels that makes their work-life balance be terrible. I'm simply there to give them what they need and to help them all that I can. And then they get to live their life the way that they want to, because I allow them to work the days that they want to work. They can work the hours they want to work. And 2, it's my own policy that, all of our team, if they need to run and go do errands, that's perfectly fine. Like they don't even have to tell me that they're running errands, because I allow them to work the hours they want to work, because I can clearly see at the end of the week that they're working or they're not. I mean, we can see from their production. And as long as, they're showing results, they can do whatever they want. So in a way, I allow them the freedom that I get to have, because, we have some people who want to work more on the weekend, and then we have some people that want to work during the week, and then sometimes they can move their work around so that way they can go and do whatever they need to. Like they can totally have a 3-day weekend if they want to put in their work 4 days instead of working 5 and 6 days. And 2, I don't even require them to work 40 hours if they need to go and do something. So like, they can work 35 hours if they want. And then I have some that always ask, can I work more than 40 hours? And I tell them, sure, as long as they are acknowledging that they're choosing to do that and that I'm not requiring it. So if they want to work for 45 hours because they want to earn a little bit extra money, I tell them, hey, that's totally fine. You can do that. And I do have a couple of them that have chosen to work up to 50 hours. And I just ask them to make sure that they're not getting burnt out because, they've got their own lives to live and stuff like that. Because that's like super important to me that they're happy. Like I want them to all be happy. I want them to feel heard. I want them to know that they're appreciated, stuff like that. So think about if you had one or two people like that to where you can go and live your life, you allow them to live their life. Now, I do understand if you're going to have people cold calling, they're going to want it, or they're going to actually need to work during their graveyard shift. So, and that's the way that there is the time difference. So I'm in the central time zone, CST time, and they are currently 13 hours ahead of me. So usually they're working when I'm asleep and then vice versa. But if they're doing something that has to do with data and they're not doing things like cold calling, then they can work any hours they want. If they're cold calling, then of course they're going to need to work during the daytime wherever you live. And also they're going to have to be careful with the laws around cold calling. So that way they're calling during the time, whatever time zone they're with, which I'm sure you already know that if you're looking into cold calling. So keep those things in mind. I'm just trying on these videos to kind of give insight to this because, it's like, hey, if you've already got a huge team, then you're not going to be watching these videos. So this is for someone who is really looking to get their first virtual assistant, or they're looking to even get a few of them, stuff like that. Because sometimes if you're going to be building out an entire department for just cold calling, you might need to, on day one, bring in 2 or 3 people cold calling in order to get enough leads to satisfy your business. Because, it's kind of like the average cold caller may only get 1 to 4 or 5 leads a day. In fact, if they're really great leads, I would say your chances of getting 4 and 5 leads a day is very slim. I think the standard is like 1 to 3 leads per day per cold caller. And, you can imagine some of these leads, it could take a lot of leads to get a deal, which I'm sure you already know if you're doing that. So, that's a huge deal in wholesaling, for instance. It's not quite as big of a deal in land flipping. I know there's a ton of people doing, direct mail and all kinds of other things, which that's the niche I'm in, is land flipping. So I do hope to, I hope that this helps. And, I do read the comments. So I will always try to look and get some questions from in there. And I think if you're interested in like learning more about this, so if you're already in business and everything and you're in the real estate niche, there's gonna be a video that is linked in the description here. It's like a hair over an hour long, I think. And it's gonna actually show you step by step from how you go from like posting so that way you can start attracting really top talented people that are gonna be your virtual assistants. It goes from step by step through the entire process. So that way you'll know exactly how to do this, how to create your SOPs, map out your processes, and then to where you can actually onboard and then train a really great virtual assistant so that way you can get back your early mornings. So that way you're not trying to get up early just to do things that is only worth $2 or $3 or $5 an hour. Or, you can go and work on other tasks in your business. So if that sounds like something that you would want to learn about, just go watch the video. It's just a simple YouTube video. There's like no opt-ins. I don't do the whole opt-in thing because I hate it myself. I would rather just go and watch a YouTube video. So it shows you all that stuff in there. I hope this helped, and I hope that you leave some comments, questions, topics you want covered, and then I'll try to cover those as well. So thank you, and I'll see you later.